Welcome to IT Coach for Business Leaders, a podcast from InfoSystems, where we believe strong leaders don't avoid technology discussions, they get educated and get involved. Welcome, Aaron. How are you today?
Doing well. How about you, Josh?
Doing good. It's been a little while since our last episode.
It has.
And for viewers who tuned in before, you might notice it's a little bit of a different look now. So we're launching season 2 of IT Coach for Business Leaders, and decided to upgrade things a little bit. Yeah. So we bought some furniture, a little bit of a nicer equipment and recording setup. So hopefully that translates through to the podcast overall and to our YouTube channel, where people might be actually watching us.
And hopefully we can upgrade the knowledge too, right?
That's the goal. So where we left off last season was talking about managed services, and we sort of did an intro of what are managed services, what does it include. Now we want to go straight into what issues do small business leaders face when they're deciding what managed services to choose for their company.
Well, I think a lot of things in IT definitions are important, and we see a lot of misuse of the word managed services, just like we do in a lot of other areas. You know, you and I have talked before about the idea of how cloud computing, cloud has so many different definitions. So I want to draw an analogy from that to start with, and we'll maybe tie that back into managed services. I see ads from time to time in various industry magazines about you can get your own personal cloud, and they see some really large numbers, like 2 terabytes of personal cloud space, one-time fee, no monthly fees. I think it's less than a couple $100, no maintenance for everything, full security, everything that you want about it. You know what it actually is?
What?
It's a hard drive with a network port in it that you plug into your own network connection. So
when I hear personal cloud, I imagine like Charlie Brown or whatever with the dust, the dirty guy with the dust cloud that follows him around everywhere. That's what I want, my personal cloud to follow me wherever I go.
There you go. Well, the idea is, technically, I guess that's true. It is a cloud connected device because it's connected to the internet and you can access that data, but it's not what most people would think of. It's a piece of equipment that you own, and doesn't come with all the things like backup, virus protection, things like that, and be able to access it from anywhere. It's something you're managing. Yeah. So they've misused the term. In the managed services space, the same thing has happened. So we see all sorts of things being labeled as managed services. And that could be, wow, you can download this piece of software and install it on your computers, hook it up to a phone line or hook it up to your internet, and it'll send you text messages or emails when something goes wrong, right? And so that's a managed service in that it's monitoring that. So I think, one of the first challenges that business leaders face is finding out what do those definitions mean?
Yeah.
What are you getting for your money?
That sounds to me just like a monitoring service. Right. If all I'm going to do is get alerts about if my system's down or something like that, how does that equate to management?
Sure. And so, like a lot of companies, InfoSystems offers a managed services offering. What we mean by managed services is that we truly want to come alongside you as a partner for your business. So we're going to start off with, we're going to come in, get to know your business. So not just the technology side of things, although certainly we're going to do a survey, look at that, see what systems you have, see how they're working for you now. We want to understand your business and how that technology helps your business. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to go in, find those things out, look for ways that can be improved. So we're going to make suggestions to you, just like when we look at industry best practices, when we look at other companies in the area, here's what they're doing to make sure that they have resiliency in their systems, that those systems do what they're supposed to do. Yeah. So we start with that. Then it's a matter from there of coming up with a plan to where we maintain that. So we're managing it. That's where the managed services come from. Yep. And we're managing to try to avoid problems, not be reactive, but be proactive in finding them ahead of time. So that's looking for predictive failures. That's looking for trends over time. So we're not just looking to see, is this system up? Is this system down? We're looking at the system and saying, okay, right now, Mr. Customer, you've got 10 gigabytes of space left. And, if you continue the usage, you're going to be out in a week, or you're going to be out in 3 months. And we try to give them, as much leadway as possible.
Sure, yeah.
We all know businesses change, and so sometimes they'll change their behavior, and we'll see, wow, this space has started going down more quickly than it had been previous. And so we'll get on the phone, or we'll have a meeting and say, hey, Mr. Customer, we've noticed that hard drive space seems to be going down more quickly. What's going on? What are you doing differently? And do we need to plan to budget to increase some space soon?
We'll be back with the IT Coach for Small Business Leaders podcast after we pause for this special message. Did you know that you can book a personal IT strategy session with Aaron Swann, host of the IT Coach for Small Business Leaders podcast? We created this podcast to be a valuable resource for small business leaders in our community, but we wanted to take it one step further. You can book a free meeting with Aaron Swann to review your IT strategy and help build a plan that will lead to IT success. Just visit our website at www.infosystems.biz, follow the link to book your IT strategy session, and you'll be able to work directly with Aaron to build your IT success strategy. Now back to the podcast. Yeah.
So it's that type of thing. We're looking how those systems all connect together. What does it mean if a server's down? If we get an alert that a server's down, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, because we have a full 24/7 NOC that's watching those alerts.
NOC is Network Operations Center,
right?
Which is essentially a room with a bunch of screens and live people
Right.
who are sitting there actually watching the screens all the time.
Yeah. And thank you for keeping me honest on our terms,
Yeah.
because words mean things, right? So they're watching those systems. We see a given system go down at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, what does that mean for the business? It may mean, wow, this is 24/7 shop. I need to get on the phone right now and take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
It may mean that, oh, well, that's their server that processes Windows updates for them. It's not a big deal. We'll deal with that at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And so we've taken the time to do our homework in advance and know the ramifications of what we're monitoring and how to respond. So our guys have run books, workbooks to decide, this is how I deal with the situation.
One of the things I think about, if I'm a small business owner or leader in the community here, and I'm being bombarded with marketing messages and sales messages from all of these different types of technology companies with varying levels of offer, you often hear consumer grade and professional grade used to differentiate different types of product
Right.
sets. And I think consumer versus professional could also apply to the managed services discussion.
Absolutely. And ultimately it comes down to a business decision. It depends on your business and what your needs are as to what type of grade service. It's not a one size fits all. And so we have business customers that for them, what they need is a certain level of a SLA or service level agreement that says, wow, if this happens, we will note this and we'll call you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Or it may be that, wow, I need 24/7 SLA. We note this. I need boots on the ground here really quickly to get this dealt with. So, in a consumer grade may very well be, this is do it yourself.
Yeah.
You install the software, you set up the email alerts, and depending on what your business is, if you're a startup that's just getting going, and downtime doesn't mean loss of revenue for you, maybe that's okay. Maybe what you need is just the ability to know that this system is up or this system is down. But as your business grows and you find that, wow, if I'm down for an hour, that costs me X number of dollars, well, then that becomes a business decision to make sure that I'm protecting my systems.
I like that you said the do-it-yourself model, because I found that you can sort of differentiate a lot of business offerings in three categories. One would be like do-it-yourself,
Right.
and you're just paying for a very basic level of something, but the risk and control and everything is on you.
Right.
Middle would be do it with me, and that's probably kind of shared responsibility over different areas, and a little bit of a higher level of service, and kind of middle tier cost. And then the do it for me is the I don't want to deal with it at
Right.
all. I just want somebody to do everything. And I've found that in managed services, as I've evaluated the different offerings out there from various companies, they kind of land on that spectrum almost all the time.
Right, and I think that's a great distinction you made between those levels. And you know what? All those levels have their place, depending on what your business is. I think one of the mistakes that business owners make, though, is they pick a level to start, and as their business grows, they try to stay with that level. And so they've started off with I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to handle this because I'm saving money. And for a business startup, cash is critical, right? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to save every dollar that I can. But what they forget is, as their business grows, their time being invested in that business, they're way more valuable doing what that business is, what they went to school for, what their education and training is, than they are in doing IT.
Right.
And so it doesn't make sense for them to keep doing that on their own when they don't have the skills and training that an InfoSystems or another managed service provider might have. And so they need to look to make that transition, outsource that to someone that this is what I do, and so they can do it more efficiently and allow the business owner to focus on what they want to, on their business.
Yeah, and that made me think of, if I'm a business leader, and so it's a startup, cash strapped, trying to get things done on a low budget, so you do the minimum requirements at
Right.
first. Understandable, but as the company grows, the business leader needs to continue to be engaged
Absolutely.
in these discussions and constantly reevaluating where they stand. It's the people who want to set it and forget it
Right.
that fall into that trap where, okay, I purchased this very minimum basic offering at first. Years later, my company is completely different, and I haven't done anything to reevaluate that or to
Right.
stay engaged and maybe make a change. So,
And I would say that the managed service providers have an obligation to educate, which is what we're trying to do here today, business leaders about that fact, that they do need to be proactive in looking at how their business is going to change and, communicate. These are the systems we're putting in. We're doing this based on your stated business goals and, the business decisions you've made, and understand that it's not a set it and forget it for all time. It needs to be constantly looked at. And so that's where, dealing with a managed service provider that has that clientele, that has that experience, that knows how businesses grow and how those IT needs change over time, can be of great value.
yeah, I wanted to throw an amen in there in the middle of that, because, when you're talking about educating the small business owners, and that's really what we're all about.
Right.
That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. And that mindset translates into our day-to-day services, which is what I love about InfoSystems and our services team. They don't approach their customers like, this is just my job to go in, turn knobs, turn dials, configure things,
Right.
and be done with it. We're in the business of educating our customers on the whys. Why are we doing what we're doing? The how are we going to do what we're doing? And the what's it going to do for my company if.
Right.
And, I just love that about the company. So the fact that we're here running a podcast, getting these messages out to small business owners, which our goal here is to educate, to give very practical advice to small business leaders on how they can stay engaged in IT, make smart decisions for their company. So, you taking the time out of your schedule to sit here with me, record these episodes, give that advice is just fantastic. I'm so glad that you take that time and that our company leadership supports this initiative for us to do this. So any last words of wisdom around the managed services, the different levels, the consumer versus the professional?
I think it goes back to what our company president, Clay Hales, has always said, just the idea that InfoSystems is a company that's about developing solutions and finding what best solution fits a company. So it's not about making sure you've got the fastest processor or the latest gimmick or whatever it is. It's finding how does technology help you achieve your goals in business.
That's great. So hopefully this was a helpful conversation covering a little bit of info about what types of managed services are out there. Next time we plan to talk about backups. So how to manage and what does managed backups mean. Tune back in for the next episode. Thanks for sitting in with us today. Again, this is IT Coach for Small Business Leaders, a podcast brought to you by InfoSystems, where we believe strong business leaders don't avoid technology discussions, they get educated and take charge.